In the heart of the Pacific Ocean lies a small, uninhabited island. Surrounded by endless stretches of water, it's a place shrouded in mystery and whispered about in hushed tones by seasoned sailors. They speak of a curse that looms over the waters, a tale of terror that has plagued the brave souls who dare to venture too close. This is the story of one such voyage, a journey that would forever be etched in the annals of maritime horror. Our tale begins with a group of adventurous friends, each seeking to escape the monotony of everyday life by embarking on a sailing expedition. Among them were Sarah, a thrill seeker with a penchant for the unknown, Alex, her steadfast companion, and Mark, the seasoned sailor who claimed to know the waters like the back of his hand. Together, they set sail on a sleek yacht, eager to explore the uncharted waters surrounding the infamous island. As they sailed further from the safety of the mainland, a sense of unease began to settle over the group. The once calm waters grew turbulent, and an ominous fog descended upon them, obscuring their vision. Mark assured them that it was nothing more than a passing squall, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of dread that gnawed at her insides. Hours passed, and the fog showed no signs of lifting. Sarah's unease turned to fear as strange noises echoed across the water. Whispers carried on the wind that seemed to speak of unspeakable horrors lurking just beyond the veil of mist. Alex tried to reassure her, but even he couldn't deny the palpable sense of dread that hung heavy in the air. As night fell, they anchored the yacht near the shores of the Forbidden Island, seeking refuge from the encroaching darkness. Mark insisted that they would be safe until morning, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She tossed and turned in her bunk, haunted by the eerie silence that surrounded them. It wasn't long before their fears were realized. In the dead of night, they were awoken by the sound of something scraping against the hull of the yacht. Heart pounding, Sarah peered out into the darkness, but all she could see was the thick fog that enveloped them like a shroud. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night air, followed by the sound of frantic footsteps on the deck above. With trembling hands, Sarah lit a lantern and ventured out into the night, her heart racing with fear. What she saw would haunt her nightmares for years to come. On the deck lay Alex, his lifeless eyes staring up at the sky, a look of sheer terror frozen on his face. Mark was nowhere to be found, and Sarah's blood ran cold as she realized they were not alone. Something sinister lurked in the shadows, something ancient and malevolent that hungered for their souls. With no time to spare, Sarah scrambled to lower the lifeboat into the water, her hands shaking with fear. As she rowed away from the yacht, she could hear the sounds of something moving in the darkness, a whispering voice that spoke of death and despair. Hours passed as Sarah drifted aimlessly on the open sea, the island nothing more than a distant memory. But no matter how far she sailed, she couldn't escape the feeling of being watched, of being hunted by something beyond comprehension. Just as all hope seemed lost, a ship appeared on the horizon, its lights cutting through the darkness like a beacon of salvation. Weak with relief, Sarah cried out for help, but her joy turned to horror as the ship drew closer. For on its deck stood the ghostly figures of sailors long dead, their eyes hollow and vacant, their voices nothing more than whispers on the wind. With nowhere left to run, Sarah could only watch in terror as the spectral ship passed by, disappearing into the fog without a trace. And so, the cursed island claimed another victim, its dark secrets buried beneath the waves for eternity. But somewhere out there, in the vast expanse of the ocean, the whispers of the dead still echo, a warning to all who dare to sail too close to its shores. For the horrors that lurk in the depths are beyond imagining, and once they have you in their grasp, there is no escape from the haunted voyage. Days turned into weeks as Sarah drifted aimlessly on the open sea, her mind plagued by the horrors she had witnessed on the cursed island. The memory of Alex's lifeless eyes haunted her every waking moment, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being followed by something malevolent. As her provisions dwindled and desperation set in, Sarah began to lose all sense of time and direction. She would spend hours staring out into the endless expanse of water, searching for any sign of land or rescue. But the ocean offered no solace. Only the relentless pounding of the waves and the deafening silence of isolation. Just when Sarah thought she couldn't bear another moment alone, a miracle occurred. On the distant horizon, a speck of land appeared, its silhouette barely visible against the fading light of the setting sun. With renewed hope coursing through her veins, Sarah paddled frantically towards the promise of salvation, her heart pounding with anticipation. As the island drew closer, Sarah's excitement turned to apprehension. There was something off about this place, something that sent shivers down her spine. The trees loomed ominously on the shore, their branches twisted and gnarled like the fingers of a skeletal hand. And in the distance, she could see the faint outline of a crumbling lighthouse, its beacon long extinguished. Despite her misgivings, Sarah had no choice but to make landfall. With trembling hands, she dragged the lifeboat onto the sandy shore, her legs weak with exhaustion. But as she stepped onto solid ground, a feeling of dread washed over her, and she knew that she was not alone. The island was alive with the sound of whispers, voices carried on the wind that spoke of unspeakable horrors lurking just beyond the veil of darkness. Sarah tried to block out the noise, to focus on finding a way off the island, but the whispers grew louder with each passing moment, a cacophony of madness that threatened to consume her sanity. Driven by desperation, Sarah ventured deeper into the heart of the island, her footsteps echoing in the silence of the night. The trees loomed overhead like specters, their twisted branches reaching out to ensnare her in their grasp. And as she wandered through the darkness, she could feel eyes watching her from the shadows, a malevolent presence that hungered for her soul. It wasn't long before Sarah stumbled upon the lighthouse, its crumbling facade a testament to the passage of time. With no other options left, she climbed the rickety stairs to the top, her heart pounding in her chest. But as she reached the summit, she was greeted by a sight that chilled her to the bone. For in the flickering light of the moon, Sarah saw the ghostly figure of a woman standing at the edge of the lighthouse, her tattered dress billowing in the wind. The woman's eyes were empty voids, devoid of life or warmth, and yet Sarah could sense the pain and anguish that radiated from her very being. With a sense of dread sinking in her stomach, Sarah approached the woman, her voice barely above a whisper. "Who are you?" she asked, her heart pounding in her chest. The woman turned to face her, her gaze piercing through Sarah's soul. "I am the keeper of the light," she said, her voice echoing in the darkness. "For centuries I have watched over this island, trapped between the world of the living and the realm of the dead.